Hello, everyone, and welcome to You've Retired, Now What? I'm here to help you navigate through these waters of deciding what's the rest of my life going to look like? What's my next phase going to look like? What have I not done that I wanted to do? I'm your host, Michael Kiffmeyer, and each week on this podcast, I give you tips and tricks, processes, and methodologies that can help you through your thought process. So we got a whole lot to talk about. Let's dive in. You've probably done what you've wanted to do, what I call your vacation time, maybe 2, 3, even 4 years. But now you're starting to ask the question, what is it I do now? When I worked, I had an identity. I knew exactly what was required of me. I had a schedule. And how's that working for you now? Have you set yourself a new schedule? Have you thought much about what you're going to do now? This podcast and this YouTube video is designed to give you tips and tricks on what you're going to do with your life now. We've read in the past and we've heard that we're going to live another 25 to 30 years past our retirement date. That's a lot of time not to have something to do. I want to encourage you and give you some ideas on exactly what it is you may want to do. But first, I'd like to talk to those of you that have retired and that you're probably thinking to yourself, I know everything's going to artificial intelligence and they want us to use apps, and they being companies, organizations, anybody that has a service that they're providing to you, they want you to use an app. Well, I got a question for you. Are digital platforms wasting your time? And here's what I mean by that. You know, if you're struggling with digital platforms or you're not used to them, I assure you, you're not alone. And many people are finding it very frustrating. I know this past, about 2 weeks ago, I bought a smart TV and it had right there on their advertisement, plug and play. Well, I don't know who they're talking to, but plug and play is, from my perspective, is putting the plug in the wall, turning it on. Well, contraire. I got a manual that was 48 pages long, and they didn't tell me that I had to download the manual. I just, they just assumed. Now, I have a deep background in online learning, and I can tell you right now, one of the biggest mistakes that all these companies and organizations are making is they're not teaching people how to use the app. They think everybody knows. Now, those of you that were fortunate and grew up with technology, that's wonderful. But there's a whole group of us out there that haven't. We've had to kind of teach ourselves. We're trying to keep up. And I know that's frustrating for you. I'm thinking of the image of, an 80-year-old man or woman sitting in their house, bought this TV and trying to figure out what in the heck do I do now? We grew up with 3 television stations, and I know that's very difficult for your children, your grandchildren to understand, but somehow we got by. We didn't have cell phones, and somehow we communicated with one another, got married, had raised families, and we did fine. But don't get me wrong, the new Androids and iPhones and Galaxies and iPads, these are wonderful tools, but you need to know how to use them. And if you haven't heard me before, I got a background in learning, and I can recall very well working with a major software company, and they wanted you to think like them. And who was they? The engineers. And they thought, well, the information's there, et cetera, et cetera. Here's what I can tell you all the way back from when I graduated from college and in education. People want to see, hear, and do. Having the information up there is just not enough. If you don't tell them, here's what we have, here's what we're doing, and here's what we want you to do, then they're going to be lost. So let's go back to that television I told you I bought. I played with it for 2 hours, and I pride myself in that I'm pretty uh, technologically savvy, but this was a pain in my neck. This was just I just want to get up and running, and here we go. Now, this was a small TV. I was using it in our kitchen. I make coffee in the morning, or we cook and whatever, and we watch that little TV right under the kitchen counter. And why did something so small turn into such a hassle? I'll tell you why. Because we didn't know what we were doing, and we weren't told anything. Take that back. We weren't told anything. So you get online and whatever else. Years ago, and it's still done in some major corporations today. And that is, you got time efficiency experts. They want to know how long it takes you to do one job. I want to tell you, if a time efficiency expert saw how much time retirees were playing with apps and televisions and trying to make their phones work, they'd be amazed. And they would find all the flaws real quick in what the system is all about. There's nothing wrong with artificial intelligence. Matter of fact, I think it's way cool. We can cut down what we can do in a short amount of time. And if you haven't used it, start with something like ChatGPT. I mean, you could write a letter, a poem. You could write a podcast, which I often refer to when I'm doing this, and it collapses my time, and it works really well. But if you have someone that has never used it before, they're basically tell you, I don't know what you have, I don't know what it is, and I don't know how to use it. So let's go back to that my story about my television. I finally gave up, and the big box store that I bought the TV from, I called one of their technicians, and he came out and, well, sure, what I didn't know and what the manuals didn't tell me with this TV is they were working two ways. Number one, if you didn't have cable, which I do, you can do it from the apps and you pay for each app. Number two, um, the other thing is you can work it without the apps. I just was trying to make the friggin' TV work. I didn't know what they were talking about. So this gentleman told me, this technician told me that he had been to a seminar last year, and his company is going 100% artificial intelligence in 2025. He shared with me that every time they get a customer call, it costs them $8, and they get millions of callers a day. So you can see why they might try to reduce what their costs are providing service. But what they hadn't planned for, and this is the nightmare they're headed for, and I know this because I did it with too many large corporations that just thought it was enough to stick the stuff up there. Everybody doesn't think or learn the same way. People learn best when they see, hear, and do. Just having the information up there is not enough. And it'll frustrate people. So the same week that I bought this TV, I can remember coming back from church, and I went into a fast food restaurant, and they said, we've gone all digital. So what the store had was kiosks all around. And you had to, order your food through the kiosk. Well, I had a nice lady next to me, and I think she's about 80. The lady wanted to buy a 54-cent cup of coffee, black coffee, small. And they wanted her to go through all this stuff. Well, first of all, the poor lady uh, she wasn't savvy when it came to technology. It confused her. And finally, they had to have an assistant come and they punched that 54 cents into this kiosk. What a waste of time. I mean, a real time waster. And what's more, I watched these people lose about 8 customers that day. People in my age category, baby boomers and above, because they got frustrated with it. They basically said, "We're not dealing with this," and they walked out. And those were like 8 sales they could have had. Sometimes technology is not the best idea, especially inside of a restaurant. Now, I know we've all gone to different restaurants that has the little kiosk right at our table. You can pay that way, but they also give you the option of just paying right at the front desk or the cash register, if you will. That's what this restaurant should have done as well. They should have done this only because they lost customers. Now, the young technician that I had to put my TV, get my TV working, they called it. He says, "Well, you don't have to use the apps. We'll just make it a dumb TV." Dumb? Are you saying that the major bill I pay every month to a satellite company to not only get my internet, but to run all the TVs in the house, that's dumb? And if that's what you want to call it, that's fine. But I think there's more people than me that just want to understand what's what's this doing, how do I do it, and how does it benefit me? I think there's a lot of companies, more than a handful, they ignore the older generation altogether. If you don't get it, tough luck. Well, that's not a very wise attitude on their part. And I'm going to tell you the reasons why. The reasons why is that if you were born between 1946 and 1964, you're a major portion of the financial pie around the world. Uh, if you just try to gear to young people, well, many of these young people, they don't even have jobs and they don't have buying power like older people do. So I think it's a bad mistake to just say, well, we're just going to focus on this because we have especially the baby boomer generation, we have large buying power. And contrary to the stereotypes, um, baby boomers are technologically engaged, even the generation before us. They're willing to learn, and just because they age, it doesn't mean that they're not intellectually capable of learning what you're trying to get them to do. I will tell you this, and this is what my background in education had taught me all through my time, and that is um, people don't like change. They want to do it the way they always did it. But the fact of the matter is, that's not always the efficient way to do something. There are more efficient ways to do it. And when you want somebody to do it, that's good. I mean, that's absolutely good that you do that. I understand baby boomers they've established spending habits, and boomers more than other um, um, generations, we're brand loyal. We get a brand that we like, and we'll continue to buy that brand. And if an organization, if a school, a university, if they're trying to build a a brand, well, they're going against everything they learned in marketing. You've got to be able to um, tie it to the way your audience or the mode that your audience likes to buy. I'll give you a great example. Um, Elon Musk did a great job with Tesla. He said, "Here's a way you can cut down on gas." Now he tailored his message to speak to those that had that kind of interest. Well, if you're all of a sudden you're talking about some kind of game that people play all the time on computers. Some people are interested in that. I want to say if you're over 50, the majority aren't. And you got to find a different way to sell to these folks. You need to, even with the apps, you've got to do authentic representation. You need to talk in the mode that that certain audience wants to be talked to. Do you have to do it 2 or 3 different ways? You possibly do, but if you're getting clients, if you're gaining an audience, if people are buying what you're selling, if that's what you're doing, why not? Hey guys, real quick, if you've been struggling to answer the question, now what, after you've retired, I'd like to invite each and every one of you to my free Now What challenge that can help you reignite your spark. Give yourself a sense of direction. Try to decide exactly what it is you want to do in this next phase of your life. People are very smart and they get worn out. I know that. But eventually they know they got to do something more. And you need a purpose to get up and out of that bed each and every morning. I have tools, processes, and methodologies that I'm going to share with you in this challenge that I believe will help you clear your mind and decide exactly what you're going to do in this next phase of your life. I watched this over the years too many times. People thinking if they just have the information out there, that's enough. That's not enough. Look how much you are socially interactive with things like Facebook and Instagram and X, if you will, former Twitter. You're engaged. Well, when you get an app and you don't know what to do, how engaged can you be? I say not a whole lot. You're just trying to find um, you're just trying to find your way on the on-ramp. What is it they want me to do? How do I do it? I'm not stupid, and I'm talking now like I'm you. I want to do more, and I want to embrace new ways. I just need to understand what they are, how do I use it, and exactly what it is that I do. Telling isn't teaching, and you need to show people. One of the things that we did with online learning in the past was we got people to see, hear, and do. We showed them a little bit, give them an example, let them try it, and then we repeat it. We need to do the same thing with apps until people become comfortable. I knew the first thing that the market thought that once you came up with this artificial intelligence, boom, we can eliminate all these people, etc. Ever try to call a customer service area lately? You're either on hold forever or you're talking to somebody you might not be able to understand. And then what's that do? That gives everybody frustration. And chances are, especially if you're trying to um, get somebody to embrace your product, your service, whatever it is, they're going to be turned off. Okay. And but if they talk to the mode of how a person wants to receive information, they'll be surprised. Can they use artificial intelligence for customer service? I believe so. I used to work for a major consulting firm, and our goal was to have companies outsource their customer service to us. Let us control it. But you got to have um, standard operating procedures, and you have to go from person to person um, to get it right. And I know that sounds like a big task, but you got to first, the best thing that we would do is we do an assessment, see what their needs were, what frustrated them, etc. Then you put that all together, and then you tailor a learning curve for those individuals. I don't see why you can't do the same thing in customer service. But once again, I'm finding people want to cut corners, and what they're doing is just putting the information up there, and then they've got a whole bunch of they got a whole lot of frustration from customers or clients. So, two myths about creating digital experiences. Number one, creating moments for customers will lead to more value. Well, people already have a wide range of digital solutions vying for their time. Nothing more frustrating than use the app, use the app, use the app. Like it's some magical tool that's going to pull everything together. They need to orchestrate their lives, they being the audience you're trying to reach. So the activities you want to do fit in their world, and they feel like um, it's time well spent trying to get up and going. Myth number two, building frictionless digital experiences will increase engagement. Nothing any further from the truth. As a content creator, I know I have to create content for my audience, not for me, but for my audience. We call it in the digital world the omni channel. And the omni channel is that you can go through, you can go through TV, you can go through podcasts, you can go through different kinds of podcasts. You can go through YouTube. So that's you can hit a variety of different platforms. But those platforms have got to speak to the audience. And if you try to just put stuff out there, they're not going to respond. Back in the day, and I know this is hard to believe, we didn't have all these channels. Now you could have up to 100. And I think that's a good thing, but you still have to teach people how to use the app, what you want to do. So what do I think that should happen? Because customer service is a real bugaboo with me. I feel that it's been sidestepped. I don't feel that the attention has been given to the people with the buying power. I feel that that we want to learn, but we're not given the opportunity because they being whoever has an app out there, they're just sticking the information up there and not sharing with us on how to use it. You need to understand people everywhere have everybody vying for their time, and you can differentiate yourself, or let me rephrase that. Companies can they can make themselves more relevant if they speak to the audience and how they want to be sold, or how they want to receive information, or how they want to experience the company they're working with, or the organization, or the university. That's what people want to do more than anything else. So, and that's exactly, I told you earlier, I told you about Elon Musk. That's exactly what he did. He and his company, they reached out to the audience they were trying to get, and they made sure they made that audience feel like they were heard and known, and they sold to them. So there's smart enterprises that are going to follow this, and it's starting to transform the car industry. And people worry about they worry about if artificial intelligence takes over, what are they going to do? Well, you're going to have to change is what's going to have to happen. And all of you probably remember going to all the great department stores. Where are they? There was a 14-year span in my career that I sold to all these major retailers across the world. And where are they now? Well, they kind of went by the same way that my hair did. It's gone. And you either adapt, you adjust, or you're going to be lost. We're past Christmas now, and one of the great things about New Year's coming up is that you can start fresh. And if you gave yourself, um, you know, 20 to 30 days to understand a little bit about apps and how they work, you're going to make your rest of your life a lot easier. You're not going to feel like you're left behind. You're going to understand that artificial intelligence can actually help you from your day to day, even when you're retired, because you're probably looking for new ways to reach out and meet people. Artificial intelligence can help with that. It can help you with groups that you can join right online, and it can get you engaged in other areas of life that you never really thought about in the past. So I want to thank you for tuning in today. Hey, if you have friends or colleagues or even family members that are struggling with retirement and what they're supposed to do, what their identity is, tell them to or tell them to join this podcast, and they might have some input. If you're struggling, chances are, if you have people your age, I'll guarantee you they're struggling as well. I want you to have a very happy new year, and I hope this 2025 is as prosperous for you as you want it to be. Thank you. We'll see you later. Hey, before we conclude this episode, I'd like each and every one of you to know that your thoughts, your dreams, and what you would like to get out of this podcast is valuable to me. My whole goal and my mission is to serve you like I have served others. For years, I had taught major corporations how to use learning as a competitive advantage. I want to do the same for you. So please leave your notes or reach out to me, and I want to gear this podcast towards your wants and needs and help you as much as I can. Again, this is Michael Kiffmeyer, and you've listened to You've Retired, Now What? I want to thank each and every one of you for listening.